How a man who was always making us laugh ended up crying in pain and loneliness, and why nobody, not even his friends or family, could save him from the tragedy that struck him? Hi, I'm Dylan. Let's recall the tragic life of the one and only Robin Williams. Born to be a comedian. The first laugh is always the one that gets you hooked, Williams once said, and it's usually from a mother or a father. For me, it was my mother. I was always trying to make her laugh. The legendary comedian was born into the family of a Ford Motor Company executive. Little Williams wasn't too connected to his parents because they were always busy. So most of his childhood was spent playing with toy soldiers and inventing different voices for each of them. Starting to understand now where his creative mind got its starting point from. But there was another side of that too. Williams was so focused on his inner world that he was bullied at school. Yes, the poor kid would arrive home in tears and didn't want to go back to school. Kids can be mean. But don't worry, Williams found a way to stop that. He joined the wrestling team in high school, and that gave him the feeling of self-confidence that he needed. Since then, things got better and better for him. From stand-up comedian to movie star. It's no surprise that Robin soon found himself on different stand-up stages in San Francisco, because he was truly addicted to making people laugh. His friend, the novelist Armistead Maupin, remembered that Williams always needed an audience. If there were two giggly teenagers down at the end of the street who couldn't get past the barricade, Robin would walk down there and charm them for 3 minutes and change their lives. He was a true master of comedy improvisation. The perfect example of Williams' irresistible desire to get laughs from the audience happened to be on the stage of his first serious acting role. At the age of 25, he was a part of the intense play by Harold Pinter called The Lover. According to the director Cynthia Wallace, Williams had gotten used to getting a laugh, and one night, he didn't. So then he did a Tarzan thing with his voice and he got the laugh he needed, even though he broke the show's rules to get it. It's no surprise that Williams' stand-up and acting career became successful super fast, because the man just had a talent for making people laugh. He even won a Grammy Award for Best Comedy Album for his show when he was just 26 years old. David Letterman remembered seeing his first stand-ups, saying he came in like a hurricane. Along with stand-ups, Robin Williams started to receive roles in movies and TV series. We won't walk through his entire career here, as it needs a whole other video to do it credit. We'll just name the highlights. His TV series Mork and Mindy, where he played the alien Mork. The show was so popular that Williams appeared on the cover of Times after season 1. The role of Mork was just meant to be played by Williams, because he was indeed like an alien, in the best sense obviously. And the second breaking point for Williams that really set him on the big map of Hollywood was the comedy drama Good Morning Vietnam. The interesting thing about this movie is that most of Williams' performance as the famous radio broadcaster was improvised. Robin Williams managed to bring his stand-up experience to the movie and received his first Oscar nomination for that. After Good Morning Vietnam, the movie roles just rained down on him in the 90s. Dead Poets Society, Awakenings, The Fisher King, Miss Doubtfire, Aladdin, Jumanji, Good Will Hunting, and many, many more other iconic movies. Some critics even tried to blame Williams for making too many family entertainment films, but you know what? They were probably just jealous, because the audience simply adored Williams. The actor started to make $20 million per movie, and life seemed to be really good for him. It's now almost impossible to imagine that he later struggled with some serious money issues caused by his divorce. But before we get to that point, let's mention another important struggle that Williams faced: serious addictions. It's really sad to hear that one of your heroes was not just an alcoholic, but he was also addicted to something way more dangerous: cocaine. But why? Why would the man who had everything destroy himself with a deadly drug? We'll never know the answer. But what we do know is that there were two things that helped Williams to beat the monster. First of all, the death of fellow comedian John Belushi, who passed away from drugs. This incident shocked the whole of Hollywood, and of course, it shocked Williams too, deeply. Not only because they were good friends, but also because he was with Belushi on his last night. Williams couldn't believe it. He said that this loss shocked him so much that he looked at himself angrily in the mirror and told himself, "Look at you, you little frail motherfucker." Williams was very afraid of having exactly the same ending as Belushi. And second of all, Williams was married, and he was about to become a father to his son Zach. The Belushi tragedy was frightening. Williams told People his death scared a whole group of show business people. And for me, there was the baby coming. I knew I couldn't be a father and live that sort of life. But if Williams had the will to fight back against the dangerous drug, he wasn't strong enough to resist alcohol. Yes, despite the fact that he quit drinking after Zach was born, he couldn't help it and returned back to the dangerous habit in 2003. Nobody knows for sure if he was able to stop drinking for definite. His family insisted he go to rehab, but according to some sources, Williams couldn't recover completely, which probably led to one of the hardest periods of his life. Let's talk about that. Divorce is expensive. Yes, that's what Robin Williams said. Here's the full quote, full of sad philosophy from the comedian. I used to joke that they were going to call it all the money, but they changed it to alimony. It's ripping your heart out through your wallet. It's been said that jokes are meant to hide some of the most painful moments for comedians, and that was 100% true for Williams. There was nothing funny about his situation. He was completely broken. Williams had 2 divorces in his life. One in 1988 and another one, much more painful and expensive, in 2010. It was from American producer Marcia Garces William, with whom Robin had 2 kids and made tons of movies with. They lived together for almost 20 years. It was Marcia who filed the petition for divorce, citing irreconcilable differences. According to People, their relationship never recovered after Williams' alcohol relapse. Business Insider wrote that Williams, who had a net worth of $130 million, spent tens of millions to pay for his second divorce. He even had to sell the ranch up in Napa, which he absolutely loved, because he couldn't afford it anymore. And perhaps the most tragic of all, Williams had to accept several film and TV series roles that he didn't like at all. He even agreed to star in Miss Doubtfire 2. But luckily, this movie was never made because no other actors wanted to join the project. Can you imagine Williams, who was on the top of Hollywood, acting in that? Me neither. Luckily, there was another love on the horizon for the actor. After he survived his heartbreaking divorce, he found another woman that he married. Some people may say that he was just looking for an affair, but that wasn't true. Robin Williams truly fell in love with artist and advocate Susan Schneider. She was the woman who accepted the actor and supported him in the hardest periods of his life. And probably, Susan was the one who helped him to feel happiness for just a little bit more at the end of the day. Williams really needed her love and support because he got to the point where he suffered from his last depression. No, I'm not always fun to be around, Williams told CNN, and that there is this thing of, yeah, the world sees one thing and what am I like at home? Different, because I can't always be on. People who knew him well described him as a man with a certain sort of solitude that you don't see in a lot of people, and the divorce only enforced that loneliness. Struggling with money issues, Williams continued to take a lot of different parts, including various independent movies that couldn't pay him much. And then he took part in The Crazy Ones. This was a new CBS comedy show that seemed like it might bring Williams back on the right track. The first episode was met with really nice and warm reviews, but the longer the show went on, the worse it got. One of the reasons for that was The Crazy Ones wasn't filmed in front of a live studio audience like Mork and Mindy was. At that moment, Williams felt really lonely and genuinely wanted to make people laugh. Again, but the truth was that he didn't really get any laughs while filming. It was like running a movie in an empty theater. Some people said that this was just the wrong show for Williams. His son Zach blamed himself for not supporting his father during that time. In retrospect, I feel like I should have been there, spending time with him, because someone who needs support was not getting the support he needed. But most probably, his son wouldn't have been able to help him, because at the same time Williams' depression got worse, he also started to struggle with a horrible, deadly disease that nobody could diagnose. Inside Robin Williams' last years. In 2013, all of a sudden, he started to experience lots of ailments, stomach problems, trouble sleeping, trouble seeing, trouble urinating, to name a few. Williams' third wife, Susan Schneider, said it was like an endless parade of symptoms, and not all of them would raise their head at once. And at that moment, nobody could explain what was going on with him. The comedian Billy Crystal, who was Williams' friend, remembered how he saw the actor. I hadn't seen him in about 4 or 5 months at the time, and when he got out of the car, I was a little taken aback by how he looked. He was thinner and he seemed a little frail. That day, the two comedians hung out together. And when Robin was leaving and Crystal said goodbye, all of a sudden Williams started to cry. "What's the matter?" Crystal asked. Williams replied, "Oh, I'm just happy to see you. It's been too long. You know I love you." Williams hid his physical and emotional state as long as he could. But no matter how hard he struggled against the yet unnamed disease, he was losing. Soon after, Williams had another ailment to deal with: memory loss. He couldn't remember even one line of his role. Williams was dramatically losing his mind, and he was aware of it. Another person who was very close to him at that time was his makeup artist, Sherry Mintz. While making Williams' last movie, Night at the Museum, Secret of the Tomb, she remembered the actor sobbing in her arms at the end of every day. It was horrible. Horrible. But I just didn't know. I said to his people, I'm a makeup artist. I don't have the capacity to deal with what's happening to him. Sherry tried to cheer up the actor, suggesting he do stand-up in a local comedy club. But the answer she heard from Williams was gut-wrenching. I don't know how anymore. I don't know how to be funny. Williams couldn't hide it. He was no longer able to do what he loved. He wasn't able to do anything. Both his physical and mental health were deteriorating at an unbelievable speed, and nobody could help him. On August 11, 2014, Robin Williams ended his life by hanging. He simply couldn't take it anymore. His third wife, Susan, said, "This morning, I lost my husband and my best friend, while the world lost one of its most beloved artists and beautiful human beings. I am utterly heartbroken." And it was only later that it became clear what horrible disease was killing him during his last years. Williams was suffering from Lewy body dementia. It's a progressive dementia that comprises Parkinson's disease-like physical symptoms. Yes, Williams and his family knew a couple of months before his death that he had Parkinson's disease, but they didn't know how bad it was. Nobody did. The doctors' reactions were all the same, that Williams was one of the worst LBD pathologies they had seen, and that there was nothing else anyone could have done. And even if the doctors knew it before he passed away, they couldn't help him. It's heartbreaking and unbelievable to imagine that the man, whose true purpose was to make other people laugh, had such a horrible ending. Robin Williams' contribution to the world of both comedy and drama is invaluable. He will always be in our hearts, smiling and full of vivid, charismatic energy. We love you, Robin Williams. Thank you guys for watching this video. Stay safe, stay healthy, and just as you always do, stay awesome.